We don't know. We're not actually in any way experts in this. Can you tell?
As if we've ably demonstrated.
Yes. I don't know if anyone's out there. I don't know if anyone can hear us. I don't know if we're just talking to each other. I mean, that happens, to be honest.
Quite frequently, really.
Well, yes, when we're supposed to be working. So here we go. Can you hear us? If you are watching, say something. Put a comment in on the chat, and we shall see if we can see you. But if not, I'm just tweeting out a URL, hopefully. George,
hello.
Why are we doing this? Well, I'm doing this. You tell the world why we're trying our hardest to make it look like... Oh, hello, we've got someone said hello.
Oh.
Matthew.
Wonderful.
Matthew, you have joined us. You're the first person to say hello. You might be the last, but you know...
It's not Matthew's fault.
It's definitely... No, we love you, Matthew. Don't go. Yeah, tell us why we're doing this.
Well, we decided... We've been wanting to do something like this for a long time, and we decided the opportunity to spend some time socialising, I guess, during the lockdown, the isolation, to kind of involve other people in our geeky chats.
Yes.
And, talk about the stuff we love and share that and see if other people love the same stuff as us and, get ideas for things we can watch and read and listen to during the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So it is the equivalent of sitting in a pub talking to your mate about geeky stuff, which we said when we first started this all off. So there might be people who've just stumbled upon this, and if you have just stumbled on this, welcome, and I'm sorry, but we should probably introduce ourselves. George, who are you?
I'm George.
Hello, George.
I'm George Mann. I'm a writer by trade. I kind of write original novels like the Newbury and Hobbs mysteries, the Tales of the Ghost, Witchwood, kind of spooky supernatural thriller series, as well as comic books, audio scripts, Doctor Who, Star Wars, some of the brands I've been involved with and written books for. That's me.
So I'm Cavan Scott, and I've been very similar to George. Hey, we got the Star Wars refuge. They're here, and they're saying an Anakin hoodie and a Detroit shirt. Good choices. Well, we hope we're going to make good choices.
We're trying to be international.
We do, especially in these days. To introduce myself, my name's Cavan Scott. I've been doing, similar to George, this stuff for about 20 years now, working with Doctor Who, Star Wars. I'm probably known for most of all now. I'm part of the High Republic Project Luminous team, 5 people who are putting together the now not so top secret project. It was a top secret, but it's very odd to be even able to say the name. I work on that. I work on comics, mainly comics, lots of audio dramas as well, books, and lots of stuff in the works. So, who else is here? Is anyone else watching? Please tell me you're watching. We've got someone liked us. We have a like. Wow. We have our first like. I'm very pleased about this.
And I suppose the other thing we should say as well is that we do occasionally work together as well as individually. So we've just written a big Sherlock Holmes thing, audible audio series, which we'll talk about a bit later, I imagine.
Yes. We can talk about it now. We can talk about it whenever we want. Should we talk about it now?
Who together as well? Yes, let's talk about our Audible, because I know we've had people asking us about Sherlock Holmes, haven't we? Quite a lot recently.
We have, indeed. Athena has just popped on to say, hello fantastic
Athena.
men.
Cinder in the flesh.
Cinder, yeah. So for people who don't know, George wrote a marvellous War Doctor novel, which is called...
Engines of War.
Okay, I think we're back.
I hope we're back.
Hope we're back.
A few technical difficulties. I do apologise, everyone.
We are trying. We're definitely trying. What we were talking... Yes, we had a few people that came in, and hopefully you're still here. What have we got? We said...
the brief.
It was, yeah. That was the official the official brief from Lucasfilm. Break people with this. Especially by saying it's the Nile, or you don't know. You don't know how true that could be. Okay, right, we're back. I think we're definitely back. So we were talking about Holmes.
Yes.
We were talking about Holmes, Sherlock Holmes, our new audible drama, which is called The Voice of Treason. And there's also an Alexa game that goes with it. So I'm going to let George talk a bit when I try and make sure that we don't suddenly disappear again.
So The Voice of Treason is a 8-hour full cast audio drama, brand new story, with Holmes and Watson having to team up with an arch nemesis, Moriarty, to rescue Queen Victoria, who's been kidnapped in a nefarious plot.
She has. And then, to link in with this, there's an Alexa game. And if you have an Alexa device, you can say to said device, Alexa, play the great game, or start the great game, I think. Start the great game.
Yeah, I think you might have to enable it in the app as well.
Yeah.
But it's searchable skill.
Yeah, and then that launches into a choose your own adventure type game, which you control the action with telling Holmes and Watson what to do. So that's what we've been working on recently. So let's see who else we've got here. Steve Dunk. Hopefully, Steve, you're still here and watching us. Hi, fellas. Everyone feeling good? Well, I was until we started this live broadcast, and then I've been getting gradually more stressed as the
You wouldn't believe
goes on.
we did actually put the effort in to test everything.
We
make
did.
Sure the setup was all working. It was really smooth. Got to 2 minutes to 8. Pressed activate, and Cav's Mac died.
It absolutely died.
It was half an hour of frantically trying to get things working again.
Yeah. Absolutely. But we're here now. And we've got a question. I've got a question. I'm going to put the question up. Here we go. We're told, wasn't to break people with Holmes, but we do try. But to be as truthful as we could, true to Conan Doyle as we could.
Conan Doyle's, yeah.
And to be, I think there are things like all the things that I know I write and George writes as well. We try and put Easter eggs in. We try and put little references that if you get them, is seen as a good entry point.
I really think so. I think as long as you know Holmes is a detective, Watson's the guy who helps him and writes his stories.
Exactly.
And maybe that Moriarty was one of Holmes's arch villains. Then
Yes.
you're away basically.
You are. You are indeed.
The Great Game, the Alexa thing, we did call it The Great Game because obviously we thought it would be great, is a prequel. So, again, you don't have to play the game to hear the audio drama by any stretch, but if you do both, you get a little bit more. It's kind of, you find out what the status quo is going into the audio drama.
Yeah, and it's a full cast. It's got music. It's got sound effects. It sounds awesome.
A lovely production, actually.
It really is. It really is. And the script is okay. Well, half of it is anyway.
Well, you would say that.
Yeah, I would. I'm not going to say which half.
I know which half.
What? So, George, and anyone else listening as well. How's the last week has probably been one of the weirdest weeks of everyone's lives. So we're over in the UK. Sort of our sort of shutdown, lockdown type setup started at the beginning of the week. We've got the kids home, both of us. How are you doing, George? And how's everyone else doing at home? How are we coping with this very odd time?
Okay, I'd say okay. It's strange. As writers, we're used to spending a lot of our time locked up at our desks in a small room, but our families aren't, and and we're not used to having our families around while we try and work as well. And I think, obviously we've got kids home from school who are trying to keep up with their schoolwork, keep their minds active. My son's quite an introvert, James, so he tends to play guitar and read books anyway. But my daughter likes to get out there and ride horses and do theatre groups and things, and so she's finding it harder, I think, than anyone else because she's not, she can't get out and do what she likes to do. So we're working hard to keep things active at home. We take the dogs for our daily walk out, and trying to keep work going as well, which is keeping my brain active. How about you?
Same thing really. I mean, it's as writers we self-isolate all the time. But it is that thing. It's been odd having other people in the house, and I love having them here, obviously. And I'd much rather they were here at the minute, and we're all together. But it is odd, and so things have slowed down a little bit. But yeah, we're carrying on. So, what have you been working on this week, George? And what kind of things have you been working on to get through this?
A couple of things I've been working on this week. First of which you know all about, Cav, which is a script for a TV pilot that we're working on together. So I've been chipping away. I'm not sure how much we're going to say about that. It's a horror story. I think we could say that.
Yeah.
In a kind of classic horror sense, I guess.
I think there's a yeah. It taps into a lot of the things that we love, and if you spend much time on our Twitter feeds, you might sort of get some of the influences. I mean, most people who follow me on Twitter know that I'm a bit of a horror nut, so
yeah,
you'll definitely get that. I've got a few comments here about how people are doing at home as well. Athena says, day 13 of self-isolation in Los Angeles. Easy for me, the introvert. Glad that we're looking after ourselves. Thank you, Athena. Star Wars Refuge. I am essential personnel, so she's still going to work.
Oh dear.
So look after yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Expired Milk says, I was on month 9 of an arena concert tour, and then boom, everyone's sent home, but the rest is nice. And Chloe May, who I'm not sure, because that's also my daughter's name, has said, what's your favourite part of quarantine? And if this is my daughter Chloe May, it's obviously spending time with my daughter, and also then escaping my daughter when I hide in this room and playing with my toys. She's going to kill me later on. So lots of stuff going on with the script. We're about we're on the 50-minute mark of the pilot script. So
yeah, so it's getting there. Yeah. It's going to need some revisions, as all these things do.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's good. And then the other thing I've been working on is I've been getting back to some prose writing. It's been a little while since I worked on my last novel, which came out February last year, Newbury and Hobbs novel. So I'm getting back to prose. I'm not going to say on what yet. There's a couple of projects in the pipeline, but that's been good. Hunkering, that's good stuff to be doing, I think, when you've got time to sit at your desk. Yeah, really get stuck into a meaty project.
I've got a novel that I'm starting to write on Monday, and it's largely planned out. And the way I'm going to do it, and I've been talking to George about this, is that I'm going to try and set aside 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning to try and get down a chunk of words without any computers being on or anything. And then I've told my family, and they're being great about it, that I'm going to be in isolation at that point, and I'm just going to try and keep something going every day, and then go back to what my day job at the minute, which is a lot of different comic books, which is fantastic because that's always what I've always wanted to do. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to do prose at the same time as comics. We've got another question here from it is Chloe, my daughter. Hello, Chloe. She says, let's just see over there. Hi, Dad. Hi, Chloe. Expired Milk says, what's the most difficult type of thing to write? Well, it's interesting because both of us write audio, we write prose, we write comics.
TV scripts now.
TV scripts, yeah. What do you think, George? What's the most difficult thing for you to write?
For me, it's probably prose, actually. It's not so much when I'm in it and I'm writing the book, but it's almost the thought of it, actually. It's the thought of the scale of the project is something that, for me, is quite daunting at first. You with a comic book script, you can write it in 2 or 3 days, spend some time redrafting it, and in a week, you've ticked something off your to-do list. You've written a script, it's a complete thing, it's off your plate, and you're onto something fresh and new, which is both exciting creatively, because you're changing projects all the time, which keeps you engaged, but also it's just that thing of, everyone's the same. You've got a to-do list, it's nice to tick things off it. A novel sits on your to-do list for months, and it's like an umbrella over everything else. And don't get me wrong, I love writing novels, always have, but it's a bit like climbing a mountain. And when you're starting out on a book, you're at the foot of that mountain and you're looking up at the peak. So I think for me, it's finding the stamina to climb that big hill, birds, and that much time into a project.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I mean, comics. I always feel comics and audio are my natural writing medium. That's what I it's not I enjoy it more. I just work quicker and faster and more intuitively through them. Prose takes a lot more. This sounds really simplistic because you have to describe things. Whereas, but for both audio and comics, I absolutely describe things, but I describe things for the artist or the director or the actors. When you write prose, obviously you're describing for the reader. And and you have to really craft those moments to make it work. So yeah, it's more of a challenge, but I like that challenge. And it is one of the reasons I like nipping back and forth and trying to write prose alongside comics, because the two different mediums have different challenges, and so it can be refreshing that if you're getting bogged down in one, you can move over to the other, and it gets your mojo going again. It gets your the muse flowing. So yeah, I find that's quite a good way of doing it, and I'm quite lucky.
I think the way that you're approaching this new novel as well is ideal, actually, to stop that problem happening, because you can dive into the novel, but also take some time out the afternoons in your case, or weekends, or however you structure your writing life, to do those comics and things as well, because they're quick projects to get out of the way. I say get out of the way. Obviously, we revel in writing them, but they're another job off the list, and they cleanse the palate before you go back into the book.
Yeah, exactly. Some more questions here. Steve Dunk says, are you guys nervous at all about a post-COVID world? You do so much travelling and hanging out in crowded places. Well, one thing we've both been talking about is that we were planning San Diego this year. It's something we've done for the last 4 or 5 years. And of course, we just don't know at the minute what's happening with that. And it's scary. Concrud is a thing, we always come out a bit ill. So, it is going to be an interesting thing. I was talking to some other writers today about, what will conventions look like for the foreseeable future. I mean, obviously a big part of being a convention is there and signing for people and being right in front of people. And we don't really know, even in the summer in convention season, well, we're in convention season now, whether that's going to be something we can do. Yeah, we are a bit nervous. I'm nervous for comic book stores at the minute, because they're obviously facing a big problem over the next few months. And if you're a comic book reader and you're a comic book buyer, please contact your comic book store, because there might be ways that you can keep supporting them at the time being when they're not getting regular comics every week. So it's going to be interesting to see how much the world is going to be changing when we, hopefully come out the other end of this. But yeah, I mean, we're just waiting to see what happens with things like conventions and I mean, this Star Wars celebration this year. We just don't know at the minute.
Yeah, and safety has to come first. Health and safety for not just for us, but for anyone that if we went to a convention and then came back and started spreading something, around our families and friends and community, then we've got to be careful we don't do that. So. Yeah,
and and that's one of the reasons we want to do stuff like this. And if we can get the technical stuff right, we'll be doing this a bit more regularly as well. So it'll be a way, of communicating, talking. That's the idea. Justin Webb, hi guys, enjoyed the voice of treason, which the Sherlock Holmes we were talking about.
Thank you, Justin.
Will there be more? And George, how about Newbury and Hobbs audio dramas?
As to whether there'll be more Sherlock Holmes, I think it's probably fair to say it's a little bit early to say. Watch this space. It's only just launched.
Yeah.
We need to wait and see how many people download it, how many people listen to it, enjoy it, and whether there's an appetite for more, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of Newbury and Hobbs audios, I would love to do Newbury and Hobbs audios. It's always been something I've wanted to tackle, if I'm honest.
And we regularly cast them, don't we?
We do regularly cast them, yeah. Never quite managed to make it work, but never say never, I guess is the thing. There is more Newbury and Hobbs on the way in book form, so it's still an ongoing story, and hopefully one day we'll get to do some audio.
Yes, well, yeah,
or TV.
Yeah. Well, obviously you've had the announcement recently that the Witchwood has been picked up for television, or been optioned for TV, I should say.
So it's been optioned and is in development with Black Dog Television, so a London-based firm, and there's the great guys there who are really excited, and they want to turn that into an ongoing crime series for TV. So fingers crossed on that front. But it just goes to show it can happen, I think. So hopefully Newry and Hobbs one day too.
Exactly right. We've got a couple of comments about Dark Legends, which is George's next Star Wars book.
Yeah.
So Star Wars Referee says they're looking forward to Dark Legends as well, which is good.
Thank you very much.
And Steve says, Star Wars question for George: was bringing Grant along for Dark Legends a must-have?
Oh yeah, I mean, it wasn't something that it was not my choice. We're paired by the publishers, but of course, I mean, I was keeping all my fingers crossed that Grant would be coming back, because the work he did on Myths and Fables was just mind blowing, and really made a huge difference for both that book and this book, actually, because the way I worked on those books was to outline the stories first in quite a lot of detail. And then Grant would get those and work up an illustration, send it back to me to discuss. And usually at the time I was getting that kind of that sketch, and Grant's sketches are not like my sketches. they're pieces of art.
They're really not.
Yeah. And I would get these sketches in, and I'd be kind of work on with writing that story while he was drawing it, and it would just kind of continue a kind of cycle of inspiring each other. So he's marvelous, and I'm over the moon that he's back for Dark Legends. So yeah, it was a must. I think everyone felt that way.
And he's been doing some concept art for a certain High Republic.
Yes.
So if you look at some of the concept art, you might recognise his style. Some of the Jedi that have been shown in the introductory video and online at the minute. Talking of which, I've got some holiday snaps of the and I don't know if this is going to work, because let's face it, we're hanging on by a thread here, so I'm going to start pressing buttons. So I wondered if anyone would be interested. You know, when you go around your friend's house and they've just come back from holiday and they show you a nice slideshow of their holiday snaps, and you have to sit there and nod and go, "Oh, isn't this nice? Isn't it really interesting?"
It's that moment in the show.
It's that moment in the show where I'm going to show some, just a few pictures from the launch of High Republic. I don't know if anyone out there is interested in the High Republic at all. But we did just before everything got shut down, and I hope it's not the reason why. I was over in LA and we did the launch for the High Republic after, what seemed like 10 years keeping it secret. Right, I think we're back. Yes, sorry, I obviously mentioned the High Republic, which meant that Disney closed me down immediately. But what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted is that, we did the launch on the first day of our trip over to LA, and we did it at the Disney Studios. That you saw it on the Star Wars show of us all sitting in front of journalists. And it was a bizarre thing for me, because I used to be a journalist. That was before I was full-time comic writer and author. So I used to be the one sitting in the audience asking people questions. So it was really odd to be up there on stage as one of the people being interviewed. But we arrived, we'd all got together. I'd arrived a couple of days before because I was coming over from the UK. I think Daniel then arrived with his fiancée Brittany on the next day, on the Sunday, and then people started to arrive and we all got together on Sunday night for a meal, except for Claudia, who was coming in and seeing things like the water tower, which is so iconic and seems so Hollywood, and then we all had to gather in front of, this is where I'm going to see if this works, in front of this building. Can everyone see that? George, can you see that?
I'll have a look now. Let's have a look.
So this is the building when we did the launch. So it's this the Rotunda restaurant. Right, hopefully you can hear me. A picture here, which this was where the launch happened, in this amazing building, which has the dwarves holding up the roof, which is just incredible. It's just the most bizarre thing in the world. And I was here with some of my buddies from the Illuminous crowd. There's Charles, Daniel, and Justina. At this point, Claudia was being interviewed by the Star Wars show over in the corner. And around this sort of area here that you can see, there's all these handprints. I don't know if you can see them on the wall at the back. And we went round and we found George Lucas's handprint. And as you can see here, I was determined that my hands would fit, a bit like Cinderella and the slipper, that my hands would perfectly fit George Lucas's handprint. But unfortunately, Justina got there ahead of me.
Did George have bigger hands or smaller hands than you?
Much smaller than me, just exactly the same size as Justina. I don't know if she is actually the maker. We don't know. So yeah, it's very weird sort of spending time around here, around the statues, and being interviewed for the Star Wars show. And then we were led up into the green room. Look, I was taking selfies at every opportunity at this point. The green room, and this was obviously before the name had been announced, even though it might have been leaked a little bit before, but we don't talk about that. And one of the best things about the green room is that it had very special wine in it, in Skywalker wine, which thank the maker was lovely. And then after giving us wine, we were all waiting to go in. So this was the really weird moment when we're all waiting to go up onto the stage, and they're doing the spiel. I think Mike Seglane's out there at that point, and James Ward was out there doing our introduction. We'd only seen the video about 10 minutes before, so that was really exciting for us.
So hang on, they let you drink wine before putting you on stage?
Yeah, it was very silly. After we've been keeping a secret for, I don't know how many months. It was not always a good idea, but yes. So that was a little behind the scenes. I don't know if any of that actually showed on the internet, or whether I'm now going to have stormtroopers arrive at my house. We've got some comments. Star Wars Referee said, "I was so thrilled you got a Marvel comic line, Cavan." Well, so was I. This is what I've been working on this week mainly. Is the issue 1 of the High Republic. I mean, if it wasn't for Marvel, I don't know if I'd be a Star Wars fan. I mean, I was around in the late 70s, so there's every chance. But the first thing I ever picked up was a copy of Star Wars Weekly, starring Jackson. And if that was my introduction to Star Wars. I hadn't seen the film by the time I picked up that issue. So to be writing Star Wars for Marvel is incredible. And to be writing for Marvel, let's face it, I mean...
Yeah, full stop.
Growing up, Marvel UK was such a big part of my comic life.
It's huge.
It's
huge for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you had the Spider-Man Weekly, you had Transformers Weekly, and I talked about this ad nauseum on Twitter, but what I used to love about those comics is that they had Marvel strips as backup. So in Transformers, it was Machine Man, and it always tried to sort of link into whatever it was. I think it was Star-Lord in Star Wars. So yeah, so thanks for that. I'm thrilled. I can't quite get over the fact I'm doing it, and tomorrow I'm putting in issue 1, so hopefully they'll like it. Spired Milk says the Luminous Writer Gang, the actual Jedi Council. Well, hopefully, we won't plunge the entire galaxy into war. But thank you very much. Justin, I want to explore Star Wars novel audio comics. There's so much, though. There really is. Any tips on where to begin? Where would you start, George?
Oh, blimey. Depends on what era you like, I suppose. And whether you want to stick with the more recent canon stories, or whether you're prepared to dip into the legend stuff. Timothy Zahn's original Thrawn series, is ace.
Yeah. Can you remember what it was like to see those on the newsstand in the night?
Oh yeah, I mean, just absolutely.
There was that and Dark Empire, which I remember going into Forbidden Planet. No, not Forbidden Planet. Forever People, which had a comic shop, and seeing Dark Empire and just blowing my mind that it was Star Wars comics again.
I know,
incredible.
I in a younger version of myself, I worked in a bookstore from the age of 15, and that was when I kind of really first became aware of Star Wars novels. I got to look after the science fiction section, and we had all of these Star Wars novels, and then for years I worked with these books, and I used to buy them in and follow them and have these big displays, and I would sit with the covers for hours, and obviously the books and the stories as well. Still got a big soft spot for Shadows of the Empire as well.
Yeah. I mean that was a major inspiration for us with Project Luminous, that we wanted to do something along those lines. When it comes to comics, I would suggest seeing what's coming out right now, because Marvel have just relaunched the entire line, which is now set between Empire. Charles Soule's writing the main flagship book. Greg Pak's doing an amazing Darth Vader series, explaining how, exploring how Vader, becomes the Vader who's killing everyone he can in Empire Strikes Back to someone who's actually quite together in Return of the Jedi, and obviously questioning things. And Star Wars Adventures, which obviously I've written a lot for in the past, George has written for as well. They're about to relaunch as well, so that's a good jumping on point. Any of the Marvel series for the current stuff, when they relaunched the series a few years ago. If you want to go back into Legends with comics, I recommend Star Wars Republic, which was my favourite Star Wars comic for many, many, many years. And books and audios, I would say Bloodline by Claudia Gray is a good way to start.
That's a great one.
It's Princess Leia or Senator Leia, where she gets outed as Darth Vader's daughter, and what that means to her for her career is brilliant. It's a fantastic book.
Yeah, I love that one.
And Dark Disciple, if you're a Clone Wars fan, by Christie, is just amazing. It's Ventress and Dooku, and I have a soft spot for those characters.
I think that's one of my favourites of the recent batch. I absolutely adore that story.
Right, we got some more questions. Josh Patterson Morgan is saying, I just want to say hello, big fan of George's Witchwood books, and hoping for a future for the series. Cheers, guys.
Me too.
Well, hopefully the TV show will lead to that. A TV
show and more books, hopefully. Yeah.
Athena says, what colour would your lightsabers be if you were granted the honour of wielding one?
I've got one.
You have?
I've got one.
Yeah.
I went to Disney World and managed to craft a lightsaber at Galaxy's Edge in Batuu, and it's red. It's the Sith.
Yes,
lightsaber.
I've got a horrible feeling it would be a Sith. I think I'd probably go for a green, but yeah, we'll see what happens. There's going to be lots of different lightsaber colours in the High Republic. Talking of which, Steve says, Cavan, you're credited with What Scares the Jedi. Was that something that was in your head for some time, or was it a product of the brainstorming session? So this is something that was mentioned on the panel and in various things on StarWars.com. It was a question that I asked. We all had to do little presentations for ideas, and we all had brought ideas to the table. And it was the beginning of my little chat and my little presentation, and I just stood there and wrote it on the whiteboard. I think you see Justina writing on and Charles writing on in the video. And yeah, it went from there. And I can't really say anything more about that, but I'm very pleased it's a question that we're looking at, and the answers may surprise you. We had some other questions come in via Twitter, and I'm now going to try and get those. I feel like I'm tempting fate, but I'm going to have a go. Here we go. So this is Yoda Bayer, who's also been here as the Star Wars Refuge. Okay, what are your favourite episodes of the Clone Wars?
Ooh, I think it's the Mortis trilogy.
Yeah, the Mortis trilogy is amazing.
It's what it does for the wider canon, the introduction of all that extra mystic layer, and they're just great stories as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it opens up a mythology of almost Jedi gods that we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
I love Mortis, and I referenced it in Jedi Lost, but I think for me I'm a horror nut, and so it's the Night Sisters saga, and it's Maul coming back from the dead, and just that entire sequence. And the Night Sisters, the Dathomir, I think, are one of the greatest. I
love the Night Sisters too, and I almost said that over Mortis, and that those episodes were a huge inspiration on some of the things that we were doing with Dark Legends, looking at the darker side of the Force, and I can't talk too much about that, but that's the tone I was looking for.
Yeah, I think. What other episodes? Of course, there's the Zilla Beast episode, which I love because I'm a Godzilla fan.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Ahsoka's younglings are incredible, and again have been a real inspiration to the stuff I've been putting together for High Republic. And yeah, that last run of episodes, the Jedi Knew Too Much. I mean, that's a movie in its own right.
And have you seen the start of the new episodes?
Yeah, I've watched episode 1, The Bad Batch,
because
we've got Disney Plus. Finally, we have Disney Plus. We have watched The Mandalorian, and it's incredible. It is. So yeah, I watched Bad Batch episode 1 the other day, and I can't wait. And
those characters are just amazing.
I want to write all the comics about them.
Yeah, you have to fight me for them.
Yeah, I will do with my green lightsaber. Okay, we have a question from Jem here. I hope you chat about Holmes at both Audible UK. Well, we've had a chat, Jem. If you're here, hopefully you're seeing this. We chatted a bit about that earlier on. And Titan Books, big fan of both. So yeah, we've both written Sherlock Holmes novels for Titan as well, which sort of led us into doing the Audible. We did, yeah. So I did the Patchwork Devil, which is I think we can say this now because it's been a while, but it's a Sherlock Holmes Frankenstein mashup. And then Cry the Innocents, which is set in my hometown of Bristol, and is a sort of a ritual, dark magic, it's completely non-supernatural, but it's got a lot of sort of ritualistic shenanigans going on in that.
Yeah, I did The Will of the Dead, which is kind of starts off as quite a straightforward Sherlock Holmes story, but actually ends up being a crossover with the Newbury and Hobbs universe. And I enjoyed playing with that so much that I did the same with the Spirit Box, which is the second one, which gets a bit more kind of into the realms of spooky goings on and Holmes investigating and not believing the spooky stuff, and Newbury being called in to assist him and trying to persuade him that spooky stuff is real.
It is.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Oh.
We have another microphone issue. It's back again. Okay, we're still on. We had a little glitch there. We've got a question here from Dave. Any plans to do a joint novel between the two of you, or do you prefer to work on individual projects? Well, I think we'd love to write a novel together. We've written comics together, we've written audios together. We're currently writing a pilot screenplay, a pilot episode for a series we're pitching. But yeah, we'd love to write a novel as well. It's finding the time. We've got plenty of ideas.
We're not short of that.
No. So the reason this entire channel is called Strange Matter is that a couple of years ago now we formed a writers group, which is, well, just the two of us, like a studio, a creative studio, where, because we bounce stuff back and forth all the time, whether it's individual work or joint work. So we decided to try and to join forces to come up with some new ideas and some fresh ideas. So that's what's led to the pilot episode we're writing at the minute, and there's a couple of other things that we're working on. And some of the ideas we've definitely written beside them. This could be a novel. They could be comic. Definitely we'll want to. It's gone again, I think. Definitely want to explore.
Yeah, I think are we back?
I think we're back.
I heard you come back. Are you back? So yeah, I think so. We both. I don't think we'd to answer the second part of the question about do we prefer to work individually. I think we like the best of both worlds. To be honest, I think that, like Cav said, even when we're working on an individual project, we tend to go, Cav, this is what I'm working on. Let me bounce that off you, and you can poke holes in it and ask me difficult questions and make sure that I'm doing the very best thing that I could. And Cav does the same. And then sometimes we'll go, actually, let's just work on this project together, and because we've come up with an idea together, we're both excited by it, and it's we're mates, and it's an opportunity to kind of spend time as mates working on something that we're enjoying. So like
horror camp. We should tell them about horror camp. So horror camp was
amazing, wasn't it?
We could flat through Airbnb. I think we've gone again, but I think we'll carry on regardless.
I think you're back again now.
Oh, there we go. We got an Airbnb in London. We holed ourselves up. We got George's projector, my iPad, and we watched. What did we watch? We watched the
Midsummer.
It part one. We watched Midsummer. We watched the first episode of Stranger Things. We watched the first episode of Haunting of Hill House. We watched one of the old Christmas Ghost Stories of Christmas, Stigma. Just to get us sort of thinking about the kind of scares we wanted to put into our story. So
that probably gives you a bit of an idea of what the script we've been working on feels like.
Exactly. And right, and what more questions we've got? Charles says he's had the pleasure of speaking to each of us before. Hope we're well. Thank you very much, Charles. Hope you are too. And my question is, what's your number one go-to Doctor Who episode to watch when quarantined?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
I'm gonna cheat and say it's not an episode; it's a story. It's an old Pertwee story called The Demons,
Yes.
which does that horror thing in Doctor Who. It's paced like an old Doctor Who. It's a really slow story, but it's slow and menacing. It's got a master in it. It's got the devil or Azal in it. In a little village, a cozy little English village under siege. Living statues, and it's comfort viewing for me, and but also a key touchstone in terms of kind of influences and the type of thing that I still like. I'm
just trying to think what mine would be. There's so many. Can we do one per Doctor? A horror of Fang Rock would probably be my Tom Baker. Or City of Death, obviously, but Horror of Fang Rock. Remembrance of the Daleks, because Remembrance of the Daleks is probably the story that made me write fan fiction. If I didn't write fan fiction, I wouldn't be doing this. So, of the sort of the classic era, that would be the ones I'd choose. From New Who, I watched Rose today because it's the 15th anniversary. Happy birthday, modern Doctor Who, and I love that entire series, and I think the Doctor Dances and The Empty Child is one that I go back to time and time and time and time.
So good. So good.
They are indeed. Right, another question. Have we got any more questions? Eric has a question for us. What's your favourite go-to relaxation hobby? I know that we see Cavan making quite a few brilliant Legos. Are there any fun tasks? So I do like making Lego. I don't think that's a secret. I made a marvellous this little fella.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
I've got the huge Jurassic Park T-Rex that I've been saving over here. I think I might have to break that out. I've got a little up on the shelf there. I've got a load more, and in the loft I've got the ghost ship from Rebels that I need to make. So, and I may or may not have ordered some more Lego this morning while I was in the queue for the supermarket, and hopefully my wife's not watching because she doesn't know that yet.
But Chloe is, so she might tell her.
Yeah, I've not thought this through. Lego's my definite go-to hobby to relax.
I've got two, I think.
Have you? Greedy.
I have. I'm greedy. I don't know if you can see behind me. I don't know how much of it you can see, but I've got lots and lots of board games, like gaming board games, and they're a huge thing for me. And I those and car games, play collectible car games. I play with my son. And music is my other big passion. I have a fondness for searching for new bands, new music. I'm always got an appetite for new music, and in recent years, actually, slightly kiboshed by being in self-isolation, but going out to gigs. So I love going to see live music as well.
Yeah, the radio for me as well is the other thing I should say. Listening, and The Archers, which I know people laugh at me for. So if you don't know The Archers is one of the longest running soap operas in the world. It's on radio. It's on Radio 4 over here. I hated The Archers with a passion when I was growing up, and then when I worked at the BBC, I had to go and sit on the Rural Affairs Board, which sounds very, 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 very serious, because it was. And because of that, we had to listen to The Archers, and we had to comment on the storylines and whether it was true to farm and community and that kind of thing. And it really bugged me that I had to listen to The Archer. Mark Wright, who I used to write audios with, and I hopefully writing something with soon as well. We've been talking about something. He was always trying to get me to watch The Archers, and I wouldn't do it. And then about a year after I left the BBC, I realised I was still listening every day, and now I've just embraced it, and I love it. But yeah, audio drama is a huge part of my shutting myself off from the world. Usually while making Lego, the two things work very well together. Simon Meyers has arrived.
Hello, Simon.
So there we go. How are we doing, gents? We're doing well. I hope you are well. He's debating the Burton Batmobile. I'm assuming do you mean the Lego Burton Batmobile? You're not just debating with the Batmobile, because I'm not sure that's even possible. But I keep looking at that. It's my Batmobile. It's my Batman. And it's made of Lego. But there's only so much space in the room. What am I talking about? I'll build a new room.
You have Lego.
Yeah, I have Lego.
Build a house extension out of Lego to house your Lego.
There's a documentary that James May did, didn't he? About
he even had a flushable loo, didn't he?
I've not seen it yet.
It's a flushable Lego loo, and it's the whole house is built just out of Lego. It's amazing.
I like that. But I'm quite anal about my Lego. It has to be like the bricks have to match and stuff. I can't just do more. I've got a friend called Rich Kersey, who's a designer, and he makes models and houses out of multicolored bricks, and it really winds me up because I get quite particular. Anyway, I'm just letting out too much about myself here. So I think we've been wibbling on for quite a while now, and mostly we've stayed online. Hopefully we're still online. Are we still online? Chloe says Mum's watching the live stream, by the way. So that means she now knows about the Baby Yoda Lego set I bought earlier on. Whoops. I bought it for her because she loves Baby Yoda.
Who doesn't?
Yes. No one's going to believe that. So yeah, we've been wibbling on for a while. We've probably got a couple of more things that we want to tell people about. One of them, I'm going to bring up a slide now on the screen, which is Engineward.
Engineward, yes.
Do you want to tell us about Engineward?
I would love to tell you about Engineward. Engineward is my new comic series that's launching from Vault Comics. It's meant to be launching in June. Obviously, we'll see how things go with the coronavirus and what impact that has on comics and comic stores. So it might move. But it's currently planned for a June launch, and it's a 12-issue series, so it's going to run for a year. And it's about a colony world in the far future, where Earth is a distant memory, and the colony is divided into two very different cultures. There's the people who kind of descended from the original crew of the colony spaceship, and they still live in a city that's formed out of the spaceship, and they have high technology and high culture, and they model their whole society after the signs of the zodiac, which is kind of ancient myth from Earth. And then there's a shanty town of people who are descended from the original colonists, and they rely on the Celestials. The Celestials are the other society, to provide them with food and water and the means to survive. And Joss is an Engineward. That's the title of the comic. She basically there's a wrecked ship. There was a previous attempt to colonize the planet, and there's a wrecked generation starship ship out there in the wastes. And people go out and reclaim technology, and Joss repurposes it to try and make new things out of it. And kind of the catalyst for the story is that her friend Ichabod finds the head of an AI from the wreckage, and Joss manages to reactivate it and discovers...
Is that the robot on the front cover?
No, that's Cancer. The star sign, because there's the ruling elite of the Celestials. There's 12 of them, and each one takes the role of a star sign. So which is why it's coming out at the end of June, because each month is meant to correspond to the zodiac sign. So the following month is Leo, and it moves through the... So Joss finds out from this AI's head that basically things aren't as they should be on the colony world, that it was never intended to be quite as it is now, and she decides to do something about it.
This is something you've been working on for a long while, isn't it? It's an idea that's been doing the ground.
Yeah, the original kind of idea was about 10 years ago, actually, and I was originally going to do a novel, but it never quite clicked, and it sat there, in various forms, and every now and then I'd bring it out and I'd try and get it to work, and it still wouldn't click. And it wasn't until I kind of hit on the Zodiac thing and realised that what that unlocked about the mythology. Yeah. So actually, a lot of it was to do with writing the Star Wars myths and legends, myths and fables, and delving into kind of writing folklore mythology and realising that's what I needed to bring to Engineward to make it work. And suddenly it all unlocked. Joe Eismer's doing the art, and he's absolutely amazing.
Athena says, "Oh, George, you love the word engine, don't you?" He really does.
I do, actually. You know what? There's something good about engines. Engines make things work.
So I want that on a T-shirt. There's something good about engines, George, man. We have a question for Simon from Simon Meyers. Simon, as we're both writers, is bum cheeks one word, or do you spread them apart? Thank you very much, Simon. That was the tone completely lowered. And we didn't do it ourselves, which is good. So I can't announce any of the creator-owned books I'm working on at the minute, but I have been working on one with Corinne Howell, the artist, and she's been sharing some stuff online, our secret horror project. And I've got a panel from that I'm going to share now, from the Unnamed Horror, which is a lot of spiders. Corinne is just killing this book. It's amazing. It's going to look incredible, and hopefully we're going to announce it very, very soon. But there you see some spiders and some shadowy figures in the background for our secret.
We've been so lucky with artists, haven't we, with these projects?
It's been incredible. Slight hiccup, and then we're back. The question we have to ask is, what do you want for us to, if we carry on with these streaming sessions, hopefully they'll work slightly better than they have been.
We'll work on the tech behind the scenes.
We'll work on the tech. We'll make sure it's we'll make sure that we actually have some skills in this department, and it will get better. But what do you want us to do with this thing called the internet? What do you want us to talk about? What do you want? Are there subjects you want us to tackle? Do you want there to be themes for shows? Do you want us to just wibble on like we've been doing today? Do you want us to do Q&As? Let us know. You can leave some comments, and we will leave this up so people can come and laugh at us.
And Twitter as well, you can talk to us.
Exactly. We'll put some links in some show notes, because apparently we have show notes soon. I don't really know what that means, but we will have some. Star Wars Refuge wants us to tap dance. Well, no, strange. I have got some moves, has to be said.
I've never seen them.
No, he hasn't. He's seen
I'll be honest.
Seen lurching, but never moved. That sounds wrong. Sinclair just said, "Tell us all the secrets you can." Well, maybe we will. You have to come back. Oh, hang on. Expired Milk says, "Spill all the secrets." Or have a talent show. We could have a talent show.
Talent show?
Yeah, we've got talents. Hidden talents. Very, very hidden indeed. Steve Dunk says, "That was great, guys." I say more of the same. Well, hopefully with working streams. We've got a question here from Expired Milk. In your opinion, do you think Sifo Dyas had any real friends? Actually, in your opinion, how often do Jedi actually have friends? Well, perhaps we'll leave that for the next... That's a good question. That's
a good question to carry over.
If that's all right with you, we'll carry on to the next one, which we'll hopefully try and do one of these. He says. What are we doing? So it said that someone's commented, Star Wars Refuge has commented the fact that they saw me dance with Claudia on Twitter in the cantina at Galaxy's Edge.
Was it tap dancing?
No, it wasn't. It was some pretty good early 90s funk.
Oh, well, okay. Fair enough.
There we go. Athena wants to have a forced lightsaber fight like Kylo and Rey, which I think means we've got to kill each other and then kiss.
Yeah, maybe skip that bit.
Yeah,
I will bring my lightsaber next time.
Steady. Simon says... You could do a fan art gallery. We could. Yeah, we're all up for if people want to do fan art of us or anyone really. It hasn't got to be us, but we can. Hang on. Whoa. Star Wars Refuge says that was some high grade dad dancing. There's nothing. I mean, I'm a dad and I can dance, but I think it took it to the next level.
I take the compliments while you can get.
Oh right, okay. I had the high ground there. So leave some comments. Let us know what you want. We are your servants here. We will do exactly what you want within question, except for the Raylo kiss.
I'm within NDAs.
Simon wants to know, what bit are we skipping, the killing or the kissing? Well, it depends what mood we're in. Depends how long we've been in seclusion for a while, to be honest. Lucia says, just thinking you're in different places so you can't really fight. Well, the Force, obviously. Who knows how this works in mysterious ways. So, we should probably wrap up, I would think. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much for the comments.
Appreciate it.
We will get better at this. Leave some comments. As they always say in these things, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back. In the immortal words of Arnie, we'll be definitely back. Stay safe. Look after yourself. And we'll see you soon.
Avoid people.
Just avoid people generally. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.